Have you ever been so fed up with a landlord that you played by the book just to watch it backfire? When my fiance and I got the chance to move for a new job, it all happened in a rush. The offer was too good to pass up, but it meant relocating to another state within weeks. The only problem? Our lease required 60 days notice plus a hefty early termination fee, almost 3 months of rent. We'd lived there for nearly a year, always paid on time, and never caused problems. So I figured if I explained our situation, maybe our landlord would work with us. I sent a polite email saying we'd be moving out in about 45 days, understood our obligations, and were prepared to pay rent through the end of the lease. I even offered to help make the transition smooth by letting her start looking for new tenants early. That's when I was reminded who I was dealing with. Our landlord was difficult, to put it nicely. She wasn't rude in a loud way, just in that quiet, dismissive, I'm the only one who matters way. The trouble had started before we even moved in. 6 days before our scheduled move-in date, she called and said the tenants in our assigned unit decided to stay. No apology, no solution, just, you'll need to move into a different one next week. We were already packed, truck rented, time off arranged, and she just shrugged it off like it was a small inconvenience. My fiance and I ended up staying with her family for a week, sleeping on a pull-out couch, waiting for this new unit to open. That should have been the first sign that she'd be a nightmare. Throughout our lease, communication with her was a joke. The management company required everything to go through their online resident portal. No emails, no direct calls, no texts, maintenance requests, rent questions, notices, all through that one system. And of course, it was broken half the time. At one point, the portal was completely down for nearly 2 straight months. We had no way to submit maintenance issues, and every time I called the office, they just said, "We're working on it." I started to think, "We're working on it" was their office motto. So when I emailed our notice, it wasn't just courtesy, it was necessity. The portal wasn't working again, and there was no other channel. Her reply arrived the next day, long, clipped, and condescending. She wrote, "Per the terms of your lease, you are required to provide 60 days written notice prior to vacating the unit and pay the early termination fee. Please review your lease before contacting us regarding this matter." To drive the point home, she attached several pages from our lease, including, ironically, the same page she'd used against us when she forced us to move units before we'd even moved in. That clause said if another tenant signed a lease for your apartment, you'd have to vacate immediately. That small detail gave me an idea. I wrote back later that afternoon, "Thank you for the clarification. After reviewing the lease, we've decided to stay through the end of the term on date. As that's more than 60 days from now, please consider this our official notice that we won't be renewing. Thank you for your time." No anger, no argument, just professional and final. A few weeks later, we moved out quietly and left the apartment completely empty, but we didn't end the lease. We handed a spare key to my aunt and uncle, who lived nearby, and they stopped by every week to run the taps, flush the toilets, and keep things looking normal. About a month later, I got an email from the landlord asking if she could show the apartment to potential tenants. She said she had serious interest from new renters and wanted to schedule tours. I told her we were still living there, that it wasn't tidy enough for showings, and that I'd let her know when it was a good time. 2 weeks later, she asked again. Same story. Too busy, not clean, can't do it. Another 2 weeks went by. Another email from her, now sounding impatient. "We really need to show your unit before the lease expires." I apologized again. "We're still packing. We're traveling. The apartment's a mess. You get the idea." By the time our lease ended, the place had sat empty for 2 full months. She hadn't been able to show it to anyone, and she couldn't rent it out until we were officially done. She'd lost thousands in rent, all while thinking she'd forced us to follow the rules. When I came back to town to hand over the keys and do the final inspection, she looked at me with that same forced politeness she always used. "So," she asked, flipping through her checklist, "did you enjoy your time here?" I smiled. It worked out fine. She signed the release, took the keys, and that was that. She never realized that the same lease she'd tried to trap us with had ended up trapping her instead. All I did was follow it exactly as written. Nothing more, nothing less.